From Godfather 2 to Garfield 2. I've got to use this film crew somehow. Hey, remember that video from 2017? This week, Charlie Brooker and all of his little Black Mirror friends did what they do best, dropping a whole new Black Mirror without anyone making a fuss about it. No warning, almost no advertising, boom. And as far as interactive media goes, this is a great step in the next direction. It's nothing new, it's been done before, but oh my god, can it please take off. From this to this, a lot of my focus this year has been on interactive media. I adore it. It's perfect for horror and it's instantly involving. But as much as I'd love to talk about this Black Mirror event, haven't actually watched it yet. I couldn't possibly comment. Instead, I got this comment trying to guilt me about a month back saying, it's 2018, it's been a year, where's part 2 of your Black Mirror series? So yeah, maybe I should actually hold true on some of my promises for a change. Here's the best series of Black Mirror explored, Series 2. I have a bit of a growing concern with Black Mirror. It's made me distance myself from the series somewhat. It's not that it's becoming overly Americanized, it's not that the episodes are getting bigger and bigger in scale. Maybe it has lost a little bit of its old British identity. But I rather liked the simplicity of the show. The idea of taking one concern we have now, exemplifying it, and exaggerating it, and boom, that's how you get cracking good sci-fi. Some episodes can feel a bit scattered now. Even some of the really good ones can end up confusing their own message somewhat. And then there's some episodes that just went straight mean-spirited. The finale of Series 4 is the worst piece of Black Mirror television I've ever seen. I know this isn't the most optimistic series out there, but this episode is just going for abstractly dark, cruel, and horrible. These aren't technologies that have been irresponsibly handled by humans. No, these are terrible humans living in an awful world which has always been awful. So it's no wonder that my favourite series is the second one. I like my Black Mirror in the period of the Twilight Zone. I like my small little contained horror sci-fi stories, which is why I really like Be Right Back. There are 2 actors in this episode, and yet it makes a bigger, broader statement than the one with the robot bees. Whilst not the most obviously interesting episode, Be Right Back is a slow burn. After losing her husband in a car crash, Martha, a grieving widow and expectant mother, turns to a piece of software that can read his previous chat logs and emulate her former partner. There's no big spectacle, it lacks a big plot twist that you could find in other episodes, but there's still a very clear violation, a line in the sand drawn. And that's what makes this the most human episode of the show ever. It's also the most unnervingly personal issue ever explored in the series. How is death handled in the 21st century, with a reliance on social networking? Now, I can't come from an experience of loss. I've never experienced loss on the scale that this episode explores, but although it's uncomparable, I did lose a friend earlier this year. A friend who is well documented online, in posts, in photos. He's even on videos on this channel, for God's sake, and that's all I have left of him. Old comments from 2010 just hang like a ghost. It's fun and bittersweet and ominous, but it does feel like a violation. It's a very interesting thing we find that's new to us in our generation. I mean, think about me. There's 500 videos of me on the internet, a bad amount of tweets, and God knows how many personal messages. I know for a fact that I give a lot of myself to the internet because an algorithm emulates any one of us. In some ways, people's feeds never die, and the idea of an AI learning to post somebody just from their writing patterns is not that far removed from what we already have today. We all have social media avatars, some more than others. Think about what you put online. You put yourself online, but not all of you. Social media is full of likes, snide remarks, vanity, photos, data, dog videos, purchases, cries for attention, and jokes. And for this reason, the replica Ash can never be more than this. He can never grow, he can never come up with new thoughts or mature with her. The jokes are funny, the software knows how to make her laugh, but these are second-hand jokes. They've been used before. And yet the replicant is never dishonest, he's never dislikable. Because superficially, he's likable. He even means well, but there's an unavoidable, uncanny valley problem with the situation. This episode is filled with jokes, which makes her laugh for a little bit, but doesn't fulfill her for long. Because jokes are easy and jokes are disarming. Jokes are something we do constantly online. The humour in this episode is crucial. It diffuses all tension for scenes at a time, while seeming far more human than other depictions of AI. All it takes are a couple quaint one-liners to fool both Martha and the audience. Despite all the creepy moments where the AI adapts and changes his behaviour, he is likeable. This is a rare example where the technology doesn't come from some dark recess in humanity, but actually the tech is just a genuine, well-meaning innovation that took a simple step too far. The product has backfired. In a rare break from tradition, this sci-fi AI doesn't seem too preoccupied with the questions, the ethics of this. Am I sentient? What is sentient anyway? No, the absolute truth of it is that the episode seems pretty decided this was a bad idea. And it just wants to explore the complexity of that bad idea. Martha breaks. Instead, she seeks fake Ash to do anything but be him, even to the point of hitting her. Now, of course, fake Ash cannot hit her. There's never been any record of domestic abuse or sexual activity in his chat logs. Ash never gave that part of himself to social media, and that stands as a good reminder that our social media avatars are not us. The ending, showing her living with her child with the replica living upstairs in the attic. Ugh! She is literally still living with that grief. Disturbing, well acted, and perfect. White Bear is an episode that, in the tradition of Black Mirror, doesn't come together until the final 10 minutes. It's statement storytelling. Definitely the most Twilight Zone-esque episode yet, Victoria wakes every day with her mind wiped to find a society willing to chase her, hunt her, and cheering for her misery. Just at the very last second realising she is an infamous child murderer, stuck on a never-ending, hellish loop. And for those of you playing Brooker Black Mirror bingo at home, please cross off hellish never-ending loop. He likes that trope a lot. The ultimate punishment. An always resetting, never-ending cycle. For the general public's amusement. And here's White Bear's crux. Capital punishment. It's a controversial and tough needle to thread when your protagonist is a literal child murderer. But the bottom line is something nobody really ever has the guts to say. Something Brooker returns to a lot in his work. We become evil and scary when we punish emotionally. A witch hunt mob will never be productive, and really shows the darker face of society. Charlie Brooker plays the social taboo card often, whether it be paedophilia, child murder, or being a sex pest. The social stigmas bring out an unspoken brutality in us. The town in White Bear is every bit as guilty as our main protagonist is. Maybe more so. And if we combine the dubious attitudes of the past with the horrifying technologies of the future, a whole new form of sadism is created. In the UK, we had the Moors murders of the 1960s. We have the Jamie Bolger killers of the 90s. There's a number of loss of innocence moments in recent shared British history. And whether it's Facebook vigilantes or bring back hanging, the love of punishment is something we should be beyond. I mean, they wiped her mind. Arguably, that's no longer even the criminal. Jesus Christ. By far one of my favourite episodes of the series ever, and the first one to actually come true. Barring the in-your-face edgy dystopia ending aside, I cannot tell you why Series 2, Episode 3 gets the hate it does. Currently rated as the lowest scoring episode on IMDb and a frequent last placer on episodes lists, I put it as a strong 3. Brooker is known for predicting the future, but here he prophesied a literal, anarchical, loud-mouthed cartoon character running for election. The mass disenfranchisation of politics to the majority of the nation replaces it with idiocy. Waldo embodies the idea of human laziness, grossness, and ignorance, literally being born from the troubled mind of a failed comedian. Waldo only lands as well with the general public due to him being unabashedly saying what everybody thinks. Uncritical, unthought out populism. Because I'm not like all these other politicians. Only too many political candidates recently have suggested huge social change using vulgar, manipulative hate tactics and being genuine, unlike all these other stiffs. He says it how it is. Brooker takes one nasty social thought and can turn it into a whole narrative. I adore it. What's harrowing about this episode is that Waldo doesn't even win. He doesn't win this election, but it sends a message of what this generation are willing to tolerate. Waldo is a mascot, a spokesperson of political ignorance. He operates from such an undemocratic, unpolitical base of playground logic. He's unbreachable because he doesn't even operate in the system that government works in. He doesn't have beliefs, he doesn't have opinions, he doesn't even have a face. Oh, there's no repercussions for Waldo, playing on the fears of the lowest common denominator. No, Waldo is just pissed off! He wants to tear down all this current lot, but he doesn't actually have any ideas to replace them with. And with no value system, what happens in this world? You get bought out. No beliefs means no standards. It's anarchy for the sake of anarchy. And those final 5 minutes hurt my heart to watch. At the time, I don't think I quite understood this ending. Now I do. If anything, this episode aged like wine. And finally, White Christmas. Of all of the Christmas specials I put on this year, there wasn't really an inclination to revisit White Christmas in the spirit of the holidays. Don't get me wrong, these are all very, very good short stories. Each of them poking a very philosophical hole this time. For the record, yeah, sci-fi and philosophy super linked. But all those questions aside, I just find it very funny that there is a Christmas episode of Black Mirror at all. That's clearly a Charlie Brooker sense of humour. Imagine sitting down with the family and watching this on Christmas Day. Yikes. This episode is, loaded. It's like Charlie Brooker's best hits. It's a compilation. Society is against you. Social media is bad, actually. Capital punishment. And my favourite, male emasculation. Anything you want to tell us, Charlie? No, Brooker likes exploring very familiar fears in our everyday life. Divorce, insecurity, maybe that's the reason we use these awful technologies in the first place. Although it's the culmination of all of his themes across his work, White Christmas is really, really different. It's the first one with an American lead. Jon Hamm, though. It's the first to be movie length. This could have been easily released as a movie. And there's a theme. Like one unifying theme across its 3-4 different stories. There's social censorship. There's divorce and child settlements. But no, the real thing these 3 stories go into is identity. In the first short, the woman that Jon Hamm picks up has voices in her head. How's it any different to this client right here? The second, the mind and all desires are removed from the body and put into slavery. Am I real? Does it matter? Have I just become a slave to myself? The answer is yes, no, and yes. And then in the final short, a man is just outright replaced. In a future where restraining orders are handed out as freely as blocks. Bad time. It's a remarkably easy thing to block somebody if they're bugging you. You don't need reason, context, anything really. When social media becomes our reality, when we literally can't see without it, it becomes a world of restraining orders and block buttons. The episode just tries to juggle a lot. We have Jon Hamm labelled as a sexual predator. Uh-oh. This theme again? It's a cynical world where you can blacklist real parts of the human experience. But also in there we have AI sentient life, and the ramifications of it. Is it a copy or is it a fake imitation? Boom, you've got some true ethical issues there out of humanizing Alexa. Ultimately, although it's a very watchable episode, I don't think any of these ideas are that well explored. And the story seems so intent on making the episode itself an anthology, and then being all very impressed when it manages to link all the stories back up together. It's a very well written episode, it's a very smart episode, but from me sitting here with a microphone, there's just not that much to say. Christmas songs are scary and torturous. I wish it could be Christmas every day. Thank you for watching. Go check out Black Mirror.